Dilbert can't finish the curtain. Let's see what he has to say. What's he got for us this time? They're probably Blu-rays.
Aficionados Chris.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Aficionados Chris.
It's a comfort measure.
Aficionados
Shine the lights, shoot the camera, smile for the world in panorama. He likes to impersonate walk-on.
Hey everybody, Aficionados Chris here, and today I'm going to be reviewing 4 brand new DVDs that are coming out from Mill Creek January 21st. Mill Creek had announced a long time ago that they acquired a bunch of TV shows owned by Sony Pictures Entertainment, and this meant that they had the rights to re-release a lot of my all-time favorite shows, and a lot of them have actually just been sent to me, and I can't be more excited to talk about them, and let's discuss them. We have in this pile Bewitched, the complete first 2 seasons, The Cosby Show, the complete first 2 seasons, Dilbert, the complete series, and Married with Children, the complete first 2 seasons. Now these are just 4 of, I believe, the 6 that are being released. They're also doing Charlie's Angels Season 1 and the first 2 seasons of Good Times. But let's talk about these. These right here are some of my all-time favorite sitcoms, one of which was just canceled way too quickly. Should have lasted longer. That, of course, is Dilbert. So I'm going to talk about all these individually and whether or not I recommend that you pick up these sets if you're a fan. First, let's talk about Bewitched. Now, I grew up with Bewitched because my mother and my dad grew up with Bewitched, so, you know, it was usually on. I think it was on Nick at Night and TV Land a lot, which were stations that my parents would watch a lot for their nostalgia. And I think the great thing about the show is, even though it's an old sitcom, it's aged beautifully. Like, a lot of the jokes are still funny. It's still witty. Paul Lynde always stole the show for me, at least personally. I used to do a Paul Lynde impression. I still do one. I always remember this bit where they open up a stove pot of boiling water and Paul Lynde's head is in it. And they ask, you know, what are you doing in there? And his answer is, I'm a stowaway. Get it? It's just a great show. It still is, always will be. And this is what they're doing with these shows is you have the choice of either buying the 2 seasons separately or getting the combo pack. And I'd say get the combo pack because, I mean, who doesn't want to own 2 seasons for 10 bucks? And that's another thing. These are all going to be 10 bucks each. These are a steal price. There is a drawback though. Of course, this is Mill Creek, so remember that all the discs tend to have a lot more episodes crammed on them. There's about 10 or 13 episodes crammed onto one disc, and anyone that knows Bewitched is that seasons were a bit longer, so of course it says a bit bigger. It's actually 6 discs, and here's where I gotta complain, is that anyone who remembers Mill Creek, they always had the paper sleeves, you know, when you open them up, all the discs would be in their own individual sleeves. They have since stopped doing that, and I do not like the alternative that they went with. Let me show you what I mean. What they've decided to do is have every single disc stacked on top of itself in a little spindle. And it's not just for Bewitched. They actually do this with all of their TV shows, all their DVDs, really. Just anything that has multiple discs, they just stack them on top of each other. I really gotta dock down points for you guys. This is not an effective way to handle a disc because, you know, in shipment, that's gonna scratch up, and you know, you don't want scratched up discs, and I don't want people to be, you know, sending complaints on Amazon or anything like, you know, my discs came scratched because, you know, it's just shoddy packaging, and I'm really disappointed that Mill Creek has gone even cheaper than they usually have, because the paper sleeves were perfectly fine. You knew that the discs were gonna be intact. I mean, yeah, it was unusual packaging, but at least you knew that the discs were gonna be fine on their way to your house. So Mill Creek, I'm sorry, you gotta either start using trays or go back to the paper sleeves. This is not an ideal way to store discs. Other than that, I'd say for the price, it's worth picking up. I mean, if you love Bewitched, of course, you gotta pick it up. And for 10 bucks for 2 seasons, it's a steal. There's no bonus features. That's another thing, is that none of these DVDs have any bonus features, and some of these came from DVDs that are long out of print and did actually have bonus features. So if you're a completionist and you want, you know, all your extras, I'd say skip these sets. But if you're just a casual viewer and just, you know, want to own the show, kind of like myself, where all I care about is just the show in and of itself. I don't care if I don't have, you know, all the extras. I enjoy the show far more. It's a really cheap price for these things. So for 10 bucks, I'd say pick it up. The Cosby Show is essentially the same deal. Let me talk about the Cosby Show. I love Bill Cosby. He's one of the greatest comedians of all time. In fact, he did a comedy special recently, his first comedy special in 30 years, called Bill Cosby Far From Finished. If you haven't seen it yet, and you're a Bill Cosby fan, I cannot stress enough, you have to see it. It's hysterical, and oh my god, it's the best he's been since Bill Cosby himself. Now back to the Cosby Show. I always love watching the Cosby Show. I actually was watching it on my television. I actually get RTV, which stands for Retro Television. It's a great station. It's a local over-the-air thing. And they actually were playing the Cosby Show, and It's funny that a show this old can still make me laugh till there's tears streaming down my face. Bill Cosby is such a comedic genius, you know, a legend. His comedy still works today, and the show has aged beautifully. I still laugh, I still love watching it. I think it's one of the all-time best sitcoms of all time. Top 10, definitely. And again, just like Bewitched, they're doing the same thing. This one's actually a 4-disc set, so that's 2 discs per season. And again, the same deal, stacked on top of each other, scratching up like all hell. So yeah, I'm really disappointed in this packaging, but just like Bewitched and all the other sets, it's 10 bucks and there's no bonus features. If you just need your Bill Cosby fix and you don't have the money to shell on the deluxe sets, pick it up. It's only 10 bucks and it's great to have the show, but more than likely I'm probably gonna replace all these cases with ones that actually have individual trays, or maybe just get paper sleeve ones. Next, we're gonna be talking about one of the most criminally underrated animated sitcoms of all time. Only lasted 2 seasons, and it's a real shame because it's one of the most well-written, just well-developed animated sitcoms of all time, based on one of the greatest comic strips of all time, Dilbert. Now, I am a big fan of the comic strip Dilbert. I've always been a big fan of Office humor in general. I love Office Space, I love the British Office and the US Office, and I love Dilbert. If you've never seen it, there are actually a lot of people I know who had never even known that Dilbert had an animated series, and it's understandable because it was very short-lived. It only had 2 seasons. Ran for 30 episodes. It was a fantastic show. I hadn't seen the show in a while, so it was really great to revisit it, and it's still funny. The show has this incredible comedic dialogue. There's just, you can't even really quote it, because you have to say an entire conversation in order for it to be funny. And the show had a lot of celebrity guests. In fact, some of them are actually listed back here. Jason Alexander played Catbert, which was a great little character. Andy Dick, Eugene Levy, Jay Leno, Jerry Seinfeld, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and even Tom Green has an appearance in one episode, which is a very hilarious cameo. And speaking of voice acting, I gotta talk about this. Dilbert is one of those examples of a comic strip brought to full animation done well, much like how Garfield and Friends was a fantastic adaptation, and that worked because of its writing, its animation, and its unbelievable voice cast. Dilbert has that same thing. The writing is great. Scott Adams, the original creator of the show, actually wrote the pilot, and Larry Charles from Seinfeld fame actually was a co-producer of the show and co-writer. But the voice castness is great. They actually have Daniel Stern from The Wonder Years. Anyone remember The Wonder Years? He was the disembodied voice, the narrator of The Wonder Years. He does the voice of Dilbert, and you also have Chris Elliott doing the voice of Dogbert. And when you say it out loud, it sounds silly, but he does it so well. I don't know what it is, but Chris Elliott is very good at playing a cynical bastard, but he's got like this wit about him that you can't really hate him, even though he does terrible things for his own enjoyment. But yes, if you're a big fan of the comic strip, definitely check out this show. It's fantastic. It's one of the greatest, and it's such a shame that it only lasted 2 seasons. Should have gone on longer. And again, same deal. This is a $10 set. It's the entire series, and that's only 3 discs. And yes, all stacked on top of each other. What a disappointment. And there was a DVD released long before, which I believe had bonus features. I do not recall because I never owned it. I believe that set is out of print now. I'm probably mistaken. But if you're just a casual viewer and have never seen the show, I say purchase the set. It's only 10 bucks and you're gonna be seeing it at Walmart come January 21st. So yeah, definitely check it out if you love animated sitcoms, Office humor, or just a fan of Dilbert and never knew that it had an animated series. You're really gonna love this show. I highly recommend it. Last but certainly not least is one of my all-time favorite sitcoms, especially when I was in high school, and that is Married with Children, Seasons 1 and 2. The best way to describe Married with Children is stupid humor, but written smart. And I've always loved watching it. Every time it's on, I just have to watch it. And it's always on several different networks. It's on TV Land. I think it's on Nick at Night. It used to air on Comedy Central, actually. There was actually a complete series set released for Married with Children a long time ago, which I believe is also out of print. I think it got reissued with even worse packaging, where they actually put it in this big black like cylinder, and all the discs were on top of a spindle. Very similar to what they did with this. I hate it when they do that. But again, like the other ones, it's 10 bucks, and if you're a Married with Children fan, it's worth getting for the minimal price. Again, no bonus features, so much like the original DVDs, I know for a fact had bonus features because I actually used to own them, but had to sell them off when I needed some money. And so it's great that Mill Creek has re-released them so I can actually, buy the seasons all over again, and for less money. But I'm not too fond of the fact that it's shoddy packaging and that there's absolutely no bonus features. I'm hoping that later sets will correct that for all these shows where they put the bonus features on the new seasons, but I'm not going to get my hopes up for it. But other than that, if you're a fan of the show, you should definitely pick it up. Again, only 10 bucks. Definitely check it out. It's one of the best sitcoms I've ever seen. If you love good, stupid humor that makes fun of sitcom cliches and, you know, you just like to just shut your brain off and laugh, you're going to love Married with Children. It's one of the best. That's it for the review of all these Mill Creek DVDs. Pick them up if you're a casual viewer. You should probably be aware that the packaging is very shoddy and that there's no bonus features on any of these sets. So if you do own the previous sets of any of these, hold on to them. There's nothing new here. This is just for casual people who have never owned these sets like myself and just want to own the show and could care less. So, yep, hope you enjoyed the video and please have a wonderful day. Bye.